of the morning on the canal. On the Senko.
Fishing, springtime, Salem Canal, which is, I don't know, Steve, we're going to have a pitching and flipping show today or what?
That's what I'm thinking. Lots of tight cover.
Stay tuned. It's going to be a good one.
That's a nice bass. Nice canal bass. Look at the spots on it. You got them hooked good too.
Yeah.
Right in the top of the head.
Come here, baby. They ain't going anywhere, but.
There we go.
Oh, that's a nice.
Sure.
Look at the spots and colors,
Yep.
and he's
Tail's still beat up from spawning.
Look at that big spot on his head.
Yep.
That's nothing
a
wrong
nice
with this
fish.
fish, really.
Not at
the
all.
Spots don't do anything to hurt it or anything
Yep.
like that. Steve, we're on Salem Canal
Yep.
in South Jersey. Tell us about what we're doing here on Delaware Valley Outdoors.
Well, what we're doing is we're catching some fish. We're here in Salem Canal, and a lot of people also call it the Deepwater Canal.
Mm-hmm.
We're right here. We're right around, well, Salem, New Jersey
Salem,
for
New
one.
Jersey, yeah.
Carney's Point area,
Mm-hmm.
Pennsville area. We're real close to the turnpike. Actually, it's right in the background here.
Yeah.
And we're catching some really nice bass. The nice thing about the canal is it's got a beautiful new launch ramp, and you can put in your full-size bass boat
And we
here.
have the big bass boat here today.
Right.
And have no trouble getting around. Gotta be
That's
careful
right.
a little bit, but
Yep.
I'm gonna put this fish back. Look at that thing.
Yep.
Isn't that cool? All right. There you go, Fitzy. Steve, Salem Canal is a really interesting body of water. I'll use that term. It's right off the turnpike. You can get there pretty easy.
It is. It's a very good fishery. The nice thing is it's a small body of water. Anybody can be here with a kayak, a canoe, or even a full-size bass boat. Now, here's the thing. It's unlimited horsepower.
Which is spooky.
Well, if you're careful, if you take your time, it's not a problem. But you can't go whipping around these tight bends and stuff and expect there to be no boat traffic, especially on a weekend. So you do need to be careful.
And obviously we're out here today, very little boat traffic for us today, but on the weekends, it gets a little bit of traffic because there's a lot of tournaments that go on here.
Sure, there's a lot of tournaments go out of here in the summer. Either every weekend or every other weekend, there's a bass tournament here. And the nice thing is they're buddy tournaments. So if you have a day, you and your buddy show up at the ramp, pay your fee, and fish.
Right. And there's plenty of, I mean, you can get away from people. You're not going to be in one
Oh
community
yeah,
all day.
the actual canal is several miles long. You know, it's either 3 or 4 miles long of navigable water.
Right.
So yeah, if you don't like your scenery, you can change it.
Yeah, and if you don't like your structure, you can change it too.
Yep.
Let's talk just a little bit about the structure that we are fishing today and how we're fishing it, Steve.
Right. Well, I look at this place as basically flat.
Okay.
It's flat and it's shallow. The other thing it has is the watercolor is pretty dingy. So that means no matter what time of the year, the fish are going to be shallow. And as you can see, there's lots of overhanging branches. There's trees in the water. There are pads. And the nice thing is with this kind of cover, I can use my heavy tackle all day. I can fish my flipping stick, 20, 30 pound line. I can use braid and really get away with it.
Yeah, because once you hit a fish, you have to get them out
Right.
of the cover. So it's important to use heavy line and a heavier stick too, as
Right.
far as that goes. Because
Right.
if you
Now-
like pitching and flipping, this is
Well, that's it. That's what I was going to say. Is as far as pitching and flipping and short casts, if you like that kind of stuff, this is a great body of water for that. You can get real close to the fish. Hey, we even had a fish on today after I bumped into the log. You threw in there and
Right.
hooked one. So yeah, these fish are not boat shy. There are some days when you have to be right on the money with your cast.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're just starting out learning how to pitch or flip, you might have some problems
Right.
with that. But Yeah, one of the things, a lot of times these fish will be really, really tight to the cover because, like, if we can show it right there, that undercut bank under there, Steve.
Yeah, you have to be right in that undercut. You can't be 4 or 5 feet outside of it. You have to be right on the money with your cast a lot of times.
Because those fish will back right into that.
Boy, they're on that Senko today. Anywhere you go, anytime you fish, it's definitely a bait you should have tied on.
Yeah, you really should. Now, that fish there, I didn't even feel it. I just saw that line swim. Now, we do have a little different windy conditions here.
Oh, absolutely.
The wind's coming in. We got a front coming through, which could actually
turn the fish on.
But there's just a rock wall that's over there, and I threw right up against it, and with the wind blowing, I could see my line's moving. So
and that's the tough thing when you're fishing a weightless bait like that.
Right.
You really have to maintain contact with it.
Yeah, now you just watched it. The blind, you're gonna be a line watcher too.
Yep, absolutely. You see that little pink?
Yep.
And you know he's there.
And like it could have been a big one, it could have been a small one.
Yeah. When are you going to let me catch one today?
Well, you can go to the Senko.
I'm not using a Senko. But I want to catch one on my creature bait. What's going on here?
There's another fish.
Another one on a Senko.
Right on there, but off of that.
And that was on that cement wall.
Now this fish, and I'm assuming it was this fish, hit it, twice?
Right.
I missed it. And then I came back on a different angle, and that's why the fish ran around the back of the boat.
Oh, yeah, you had them just about around the motor that time.
Yeah, and we just turned, and I said, oops.
You almost took out the camera guy.
I did, I hit him in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that goes to show you, if you pick up a couple of bites like that and miss them, go back in.
Oh, yeah.
Go back in.
You can change the angle.
And that's what I did. I'd flipped twice over that way, and then when we came this way, I went right back into that spot.
Yep.
And there he was.
And you know what it is? I'm looking at this tree here. Yeah. I'm looking at this tree, and it's got about a jillion different places to hit. I'm saying, okay, I want to get over here by these branches. Then there's a pocket. Now they got some leafy branches. I want to get up by the root ball. You know, so there's all these different spots I'm thinking about, and you're still pulling them out of this wall.
Oh yeah, they're on that wall.
You know what? That's the thing with this lake, Bob. There are a million places to cast.
Yeah, and one of the things that you had to mention was that there's a million places to cast, but you really got to start paying attention where to cast, because you could waste a lot of time.
Yep.
Throwing to places.
And there's a pattern to the day.
Right.
Some days these fish are locked onto this wood, and that's what you need to fish to catch these fish. But other days they'll be on the marshy type banks, or on the grassy type banks, or the undercut banks. So you really have to pay attention and let the fish talk to you, like they say.
Yeah,
let the fish say, okay, this is where we're located, and then go and duplicate that.
Right.
And it really is a shortcut to catching fish.
Now this tree here, Steve, I'm not that happy when it's a green tree that's laying out like this. It hasn't had time to really attract a lot of fish. When you see a tree that's in the water, that's been dead for a while, that's my favorite.
Yeah, well, for me, I catch them out of both types of trees, but what I would like to see, okay, and we can not go up there and put it in the water, but I'd like to see the main trunk of the tree laying down on the water. That gives you a lot more shade, a lot more surface area for the fish to be around. And again, when the leaves come off, it's easier to cast in there.
Right, right.
Right now, if I go to pitch in here and I get one leaf, you know, I'm done.
Right.
That's the end of my cast. But these fish could be anywhere from the area where the tree meets the bank all the way out here to the end, especially when we're only here in about 3.5 feet of water.
Right, and actually it's a good travel for them, because they could be out here and just move right back into that.
Yep.
And it could be back in there. They could be in 6 inches of water sitting back in there.
And it makes it tough because there's so many different places. This tree has almost too much to offer.
Right. Still ticking.
Yeah. Halfway back to the boat.
Yep. So I'm going to talk about this, Steve, because I've been getting ridiculed off camera about it. So let's talk about it. We're fishing. Look at how strong that thing is. We're fishing a lot of heavy cover.
Right.
And I'm throwing a Senko, but I'm exposing, I'm wacky worming it in a sense. And you know, when I do that, I get snagged.
Right.
But what I've been doing is not letting it actually fish like a Senko. Let me put this back. I've been almost swimming it back
Right.
to keep it above a lot of the limbs and stuff like that. Now I'm taking a chance because, you know, I've lost a few worms.
Right.
But again, I'm just holding it, I'm just using it that way. And again, with all this wood and limbs and stuff that's under the water, I have a tendency to do it. But again, I'm using heavy line. A lot of times I can pull out. And the other thing is, once I do that, now I've checked this one's pretty good, but I'm also checking my line because
Oh, absolutely.
we're going over a lot of limbs.
All kinds of cover
and-
here.
and stuff like
what
that.
you're doing is you're not fishing a Senko like people normally would, throw it out, let it go all the way to the bottom.
Right.
You're adapting your retrieve to match the conditions of the day.
Right.
Now I'm sitting here a little hard-headed today. I'm going to stick with my creature bait and stuff because I'm looking for big fish.
Right.
You're catching a bunch of fish. I'll catch a big one, maybe. I hope,
Right.
maybe.
Right.
And that's a good strategy in a tournament, like we talk about a lot of times. Fish two different techniques. Maybe one person catches the most of the fish, but maybe the other person catches just big fish.
We're looking for the big. You're looking for the big bite, where
Right.
I'm just going through. But again, it's a little different technique that you should try if you're fishing wood and with this exposed hook. Almost swim it. Don't let it just drop like a Senko would naturally do. Just swim. And we're only fishing, what, maybe a foot and a half
Right.
of water. So it's
Wacky swimming, we're going to call it
okay.
from now on.
That's my new thing, wacky swimming.
Wacky swimming a Senko. Hey, it's working today.
That's it.
This one's all over the place.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
What?
It's a catfish, Bob.
I was looking at it.
We're like Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. But you know what? There are a lot of catfish here. There's carp here. There's crappies here. Big crappies.
Yeah, big crappies, yeah.
So you know what? You could catch a lot of different
Well,
fish.
there's a lot of guys that come down here just for the crappie fishing.
Oh yeah.
I know that.
Yep.
And what you can see, we're getting some different wind conditions here and
Oh, yeah.
weather conditions
Oh, we're liable to get weathered out here at any minute.
at any minute.
You get this poor guy
Well, we're
back.
hoping, like we came up on this flatter bank here, Steve, with some pads.
Right.
And just talk about how to fish this with the pads. You could throw a spinnerbait, obviously, but we're fishing close because we feel that the fish are up on the structure
Yeah,
itself.
they seem to be right on the cover, and I need me another worm here. But what we're going to do is we're going to fish the clumps of pads, and then we'll fish any little aisles in the pads, and then we can fish where you can get right to the bank next to the pads. We're going to be in very tight. We have dirty water, okay, so the fish aren't skittish at all. We can get right on top of them. Now, it's like Al Linder said long time ago. Bass are either on the inside of the pads, outside of the pads, or somewhere in between.
And that's
Right, and on that particular day, that's what you need to figure out, where they are. Now, if we catch some on the clumps, then we'll continue to fish the clumps. If we catch them down the aisles, we'll fish more down the aisles. Again, we're letting the fish pretty much say, hey, we're here, come get us.
right. And again, the tackle that you're using, throwing into there, you have to have I know we've said it again and again. But,
Oh, yeah.
You have to have the heavier tackle.
Oh yeah, I'm fishing, pretty decent heavy tackle, 20-pound mono, 7.5 foot flipping stick. Got my trusty reel here, my lures that I've had forever.
Right.
And man, you just winch them out of the cover. When you hook them, you hook them, and you fight them after you get them in the boat.
I got a loop here. It's true because you can have a nice fish and that fish gets hung up in those pads.
Oh yeah.
And you can't get them out with light tackle because your rod's bent in half.
Yep.
You really do need some stout tackle to fish.
Yep.
Now, if you're just fishing out here with a spinnerbait or something, it's a different story. But to fish those pads, you really have to have heavy tackle.
Right. And here's the other thing. We're in a little calm spot right now, but it's blowing about 25 out here. We've got a storm front coming. I mean, I think it's going to pour buckets this afternoon.
Right.
So we're expecting the fish maybe to move out from the edges and feed out away from the banks. You know what, Bob? This is a great case of we changed the scenery in the area that we're fishing a little bit. It's a different type of shoreline, different type of bank. And all of a sudden, we've caught a few fish in about a 30-yard stretch.
Yeah, it's not a big one, but
Yeah.
again, this, what do you say? It's a outside bend, Steve?
It's an outside bend. Generally, the area where the water, the deeper water, will be a little bit closer to the shoreline.
And again, it's just like a marshy area, but
Yep.
but we're on that outside bend as it comes through here, and the water will push through here,
Right.
and it makes it just a little bit
Right.
deeper.
Whenever there's a little bit of current, whenever they get a flood or whatever, you know, this is the bank that gets the current. So this is the bank that should be washed out, washed away, undercut, whatever you want to call it.
Right. And one of the things you got to remember too, you said that when you're in here, it's very precise casting here because you're really targeting just these really specific areas.
Right. Basically in here, this type of area, if you miss your cast by a foot, you might as well miss by a mile.
Yeah. It's very important to remember that.
Exactly. So you'll see me underhand pitching, sidearm casting, whatever I have to do to get in real tight to the bank. And that's the other thing that's different here. These fish are located, so far, the couple that we've caught on this bank have been very close to the shore compared to where we caught fish in other areas of the canal.
Right. Yeah, 'cause you just see how flat it is here with the marshland and stuff. We don't have as much of that blowdown that we had in the other
Right.
place.
And what we did basically, the area we were fishing in at least, straighten my line out, we pretty much eliminated wood in that area as a part of our pattern.
Right.
We've decided, okay, we fished a million blowdowns, we fished a bunch of other type of stuff, and we caught nothing.
Right.
So what we had to do is we had to change our scenery a little bit.
Right.
And we're getting bit now. Come on, lift there, Bobby.
Yeah, that's a nice fish there. I switched over to, Steve recommended that I put on a chartreuse, a June bug color, and I hate to tell you,
It works.
it works.
You know what it is? It's a change of scenery, change of bait. We're matching the conditions. We've changed areas.
Right.
We're on a different type of bank. And, you know,
Nice fish.
fishing is by no means easy today.
No.
Okay, it's not like they're jumping in a boat, but we've put together somewhat of a pattern. We know the types of areas that we need to fish.
Right.
And we're just putting our nose down and fishing and covering water, and we're catching fish now.
Yeah. And just flipping into that stuff.
Yep.
Now he picked that one up, Steve.
Right.
A slight tap, and then he was running with it.
Right.
And he was moving. That's when I said, "Whoa!" And that's again, you have to pay attention to that
Yep.
because sometimes they're not going to just slam it; they're just going to pick it up.
Yep. The bites are very light today.
Yeah. And then just swim away. So you got to watch. And actually, Steve, you got to get used to the bait you're using, and you should know how it's working.
It's got to feel. Every
Yeah.
time that I take the bait, I pitch it out. Ooh, that was a nice pitch.
Yeah.
I pitch it out, and every time I lift up on it, I know the way it's supposed to feel. If it doesn't feel like it's supposed to, my mind's got to say that's a stick. I've got some of that black moss, you know, that black
Right.
death moss, or, you know what? Hold on for a second. Is that moving?
Right.
And you know, those are the ways that they detect a bite, especially. You know, now that, you know, we're kind of getting old up in years and stuff, I don't see my line nearly as good as I used to.
Oh!
Ah, I missed one.
Another nip on that one.
Yep. But that's what happens. It's all detecting a strike. It's getting used to the lure, the rod, the reel, what you're fishing, getting your tackle balanced, everything right.
You know, that's an important part there to know how your tackle, you react to your tackle.
Oh yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Because you might like a reel that works one way. I'm used to it another way. And matter of fact, this is a new reel that I started using today. I had to get used to.
Oh,
how
absolutely.
it was working. Just
And the other thing is,
find out.
we're both using heavy tackle.
Oof.
You're using a nice stout rod, heavy line,
Yep.
so am I. The hook is very important. We're fishing a little bit bigger, thicker bait than we were. You need a hook that's not going to straighten out when you set the hook.
Nope.
Okay, when you come back on that thing, that hook's got to stay just about exactly the way it was with just a little teeny bit of flex. to make sure you hook that fish. There he is. Oh, skipped that one right out of there. Came swimming towards us. Well, that was quick.
Yeah.
Another one on the little June bug creature bait.
Did he just pick it up and run again?
He picked it up and he ran right at the boat.
They've been doing that over here.
Yeah, a little guy.
Yeah.
Get him back.
I guess they figure that if they get a piece of food, get away from the bank, go out here and eat it, and then come back in.
Yep.
Somebody else is going to eat them.
You know, it's funny, Bob. Everybody hears us say nice fish every time we catch a fish, regardless of the size.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, if it's got a head, a tail, and a mouth that clamps down on my lure, it's a nice fish.
That's right. I agree.
And that one was nice enough to bite.
Yeah. Well, we always say, you never know what that bite's going to be. It could be a big fish, it could be a small fish.
Yep.
You got to treat them all as if they're big.
Yep.
That's
because when you don't swing, that's the big one.
Yep.
How many times has that happened? Yep. Yeah, I got a little one on. Next thing you know, a 5-pounder jumps out of the water, and there goes your spinner bait.
Right. I didn't think it was that big.
Yep. Gotta take it seriously.
Yeah.
Well, you've been harping on me for staying with one bait, and I told you I'm trying to catch a little bit bigger fish. Now this guy's, he's not huge or anything,
right.
But on a body of water like this, if we're fishing a tournament, we could cull out a 12-incher and probably gain at least a half a pound with that fish.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice healthy fish.
Again, now, did he come, was he out farther, or who was he?
He came swimming out like crazy.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing. Yeah.
And that's something I want to talk about here. Because years ago, when we talked about reels, when you were talking about worm fishing or stuff like that, it was always a low-speed reel. But if it wasn't for the fact that I'm using a 6.1 to 1 gear ratio reel, something I could take up a lot of line with, I might not have been able to catch up with that bass.
Yeah, right.
So that's a case where in flipping and pitching, you really do want a high-speed reel.
Yeah, you would think it would just be the opposite, because you're just basically using...
You're fishing slow,
right.
But you want to be getting to your next cast quickly. So
and
that's a
that
great
line
tip.
In.
Yep.
And the other thing too, Steve, is the fact that you had mentioned the size of the rod, because you're lifting up.
Right.
You're taking up a lot more line when you're using a 7-foot rod versus even a 6-foot or a 6.6.
Yep.
You're lifting up more line. It's just
leverage, absolutely. Wow, look at a bow in the line right now from the wind.
Yeah, this could be.
It is windy out here. On the flipping stick. Pull this guy in here. Ah!
There you go.
Sometimes it pays to be hard-headed. Definitely the best fish of the day so far.
Yeah.
And he's got it good too. Yeah, you know what? He's hooked right through the bony part of the mouth.
And again, Steve, we mentioned that. That's why you need that good hook.
Yep.
Because if you had a weak hook,
yep.
You would.
Let's get this guy back.
Yeah.
Yep, using a very strong hook, 3/16 ounce slip sinker, 20-pound mono. We're out here battling the wind.
Yeah.
And we're winning.
Yeah.
Right now we're winning.
So far.
Yep. Let's get back to fishing.
Did he come off that?
He was right off the thing.
And now for a closer look at today's tackle, Delaware Valley Outdoors presents the Tackle Box. For more information about the tackle used on today's show, go to DelawareValleyOutdoors.com.
Well, Steve, we're at the Tackle Box, and it was a plastic day.
Oh yeah, yep.
Just a plastic day.
It was pretty simple today.
Yeah, it was pretty simple.
Wasn't simple to figure them out.
Right, but
they were simple to catch once we figured them out.
Right. Again, we were fishing up against wood, pads, trees, everything else. So we went to the soft plastic pitching.
Right.
And we did pretty good.
Right.
Had some nice fish, you know. We had all kinds of weather conditions too.
Sure.
Wind, rain, sun, clouds.
A lot of wind.
Yep.
Lots of wind.
Well, I started out with my Senko.
Yep.
And did pretty good. I was still wacky worming it.
But you were wacky swimming, or swimming wacky, or whatever we're calling a technique now.
I was just swimming because of all the roots and all the stuff. When you have an exposed hook,
right,
you're going to get hung up. But it did catch fish.
Yeah, absolutely it did.
It catch fish. Now, we have a selection of what we call creature baits.
Creature baits, yeah.
Now this one here is one of my favorites, and yours too. It's just the, what you call it?
Yep, it's your Zoom baby brush hog.
Right.
And it's green pumpkin with red flake, and just any color's great as long as it's green pumpkin. I mean, you can go anywhere and catch a fish on a green pumpkin worm, it seems like.
Right.
It's a good color anywhere. Kind of surprises me that it does so well here with the dirty water, but you know what? It works.
Yeah, because there's the same color with the Senko type bait. Okay, now here's one of your baits here that you like.
Yeah, and that's a little bit different bait. It's from a different company, but again, it's creature style bait. June bug. Really like the dark profile type of baits in this water. Right. So June bug is what I go to when the water is visibility anywhere from about 6 inches to 2 feet. And I don't know, I haven't gone anywhere that June bug doesn't work.
No, and
it's
again,
a great color.
Texas rigged it.
Right.
And you know, just a good bait. And here's another creature bait, but the color is.
Yeah. Well, that one's black with blue flake in it. It seems that black and blue is a great color anytime you're around dirty water.
Right.
We saw my buddy Terry out there, Tebow. You know, he caught a bunch of fish, and you saw what color he was fishing. He was fishing black and blue. Right. So it's a great color anytime the water's dirty.
And that caught fish today too.
Yep.
Now this bait, you called me the other night and said, hey, bring something with a chartreuse tail. And you finally talked me into using it, and guess what?
Dirty water and chartreuse tails go together like peas and carrots. I mean, especially when the water is really dirty. It seems like the contrast to the chartreuse tail gets you more bites.
Right.
And it was funny because I'm telling you, Bob, put that chartreuse tail thing on there, and you're catching them on a Senko.
Right.
And I kind of, he beat up on me for a few minutes, actually, before he caught the first fish, and then he caught a few fish, and then he stopped complaining.
Right.
But yeah, you caught him on a lizard, June bug, again, but with a chartreuse tail.
So if you're in that muddy water situation, go to these dark colors with a little bit of contrast, and you'll do pretty good.
Right.
And that's the tackle box.
Yo, Bob. Oh, if I fish that brush hog long enough, you get a keeper on it.
If you get a chance, come on down to Salem Canal, start pitching, flipping, and you'll have a good day. I mean, we'll catch more, I know that.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. And look, Steve.
Yep.
The tail.
Yep. Bleeding a little bit. Still spawning.
Hey, I'm Bob Murray.
I'm Steve Horvath.
See you on the water.
Get this guy back.
Ready.
Okay.
Beautiful.
It's a crappie. Grab him.
I should net him.
Grab your net. He looks like he's choking.
He's choking on the minnow.
Here he is. Stuck with. Oh, he's off on the pad. Oh. Came up and ate it right off the limb, and I missed him.